Hey, I'm Alan Furstenberg,
Hi, and this is Roya.
and we are Two Voice Devs,
Two voice devs.
coming to you live from Google I/O, where it's the end of day 2. We learned so incredibly much. This has been a few days, hasn't it been?
It's been. It feels like there are so much content, and I'm just trying to soak the whole things in, and it's like so many new things.
Absolutely. It's going to take, I feel like it'll take me a couple of days to digest everything that went on and go through it all, but we've got a short list, not so short list, of stuff that I think we wanted to quickly talk about. Why don't you introduce yourself quickly first, though, Roya?
Sure. I'm Roya. I'm a senior scientist with a focus on generative AI, AI and ML in general. I'm also a Woman Techmaker ambassador. I'm a Google developer expert in AI and ML, and I'm also a GDG cloud organizer in Boston. So if you want to join us, you're more than welcome. We would be really happy to have you over.
And Boston's a great group. I love it when I can make it out there.
Absolutely.
It's always fun.
Just come more often.
So we've got a lot to go through. We're going to try to get through this all as quickly as we can. Google I/O is Google's main developer conference. So this is where everything, that's big in the developer community, this is where there's a good chance they're going to launch it. Plus, they also tend to launch and talk about some consumer stuff at the same time. So lots and lots of developer focus. And I think it's no surprise. This year, again, the theme was AI. So I like to call this Google AIO.
How many times they said AI this year?
Officially they said 121. I think that's wrong.
That was just in the main I/O before they did the count.
I think that's wrong. And the reason I think it's wrong is because he said he had Gemini count, and as we all know, Gemini is terrible at counting. It is not what Gemini is good at. But speaking of Gemini, there were two big announcements about Gemini in this one. The first is there is a new Gemini 1.5 model called Gemini 1.5 Flash. And the great thing about Gemini 1.5 Flash is that it's got many of the same multimodal capabilities that Gemini 1.5 Pro has. So it handles the audio, it handles the images, it handles all of that. But it's lighter weight, which means it's cheaper to run with, which means that you can still use that 1 million context window and ask it some good questions over your videos at far, far lower price and far, far faster processing. There are trade-offs, and you're going to need to see if it's the right model for you, but an exciting thing. But at the same time, they announced that Gemini 1.5 Pro, the model that can you believe we've only had this model for 6 months? This is not, Gemini 1.5 Pro, which was the first model to get 1 million token context window, will now have a 2 million token context window.
Can you believe it? 2 million context window, and what that means for developer? It means that right now you can point at least like a couple of hundreds of lines of code. So you can easily say bye-bye legacy code, or you can upload 2 hours worth of video and it understands the whole video. So now sky is the limit for developer to build new concepts.
It's it's really exciting. I really can't wait to see what developers are going to do with that big a window. And the new pricing that's announced has been great in that both the flash pricing and the pro pricing is that, yes, if you're using that big window, you're going to be charged a good chunk. But if you're not using the whole window, if you're using a smaller amount, you won't be charged as much. So there's this flexible pricing based on how many tokens you're using. That's pretty incredible that they're able to do that. But the other big news is that folks in Europe and UK and Switzerland previously did not have access to AI Studio, but now you do. So starting immediately, you're able to access AI Studio from 200 countries, I think they said, around the world, including the EU. And that's big, that's huge. Now, there are some caveats. There are free, and that includes the API, but the free tier is not quite as accessible to that group for various reasons. But still, this is a huge, exciting development. And I'm thrilled to see it. But, we've got a lot of models to choose from. We've got a lot of options to play with. I think that's exciting. What do you think?
Fascinating. On top of the context window to be bigger right now, we now have the context caching, which enables the developer to just cache the content, the prompt once. So you only pay for it once, and that's significant because before, if you had this video and every time you wanted to prompt based on that video and ask a question, you had to pay for all of the 1 million token for example, 1 hour worth of video. But now you cache it once, and it changes the landscape of like how much you are paying for it for forever. Honestly, it matters a lot to me.
It's interesting. You know, I looked at some of the cache pricing. The cache pricing is literally half the price
Yes.
of sending it each time. So that, you know, that cuts it in half. And there's some cost associated with storing that
Exactly.
cache. But it's still way
It's a
cheap.
fraction of the price.
Again, I'm really curious to see what developers do with that and how that enables us to do new things. Now that's not available yet today.
Yes.
There's some documentation out there, but I've asked around, and it sounds like that'll be available around the June timeframe, from what I understand.
Another, I think, big announcement was all of these models are available to us, and it brings to us like how we are choosing the right models. So as a scientist and developer, you want to think about like all of the different aspects, whether you want to focus more on the quality, on the control, on the cost. This would play, I think, the role for you to choose. The suggestion at IO Keynote and all of the other developer, I think, talks was to look into the Gemini Pro first and start prototyping with that, and then whether you are more concerned about the cost or whether you want to have it on an edge device or whether you want to have more control, decide which model you want to use. So for edge devices, you can go into Gemini Nano, which enables you to put it actually on a phone or on an edge device.
And I just have to say, I think that was really exciting to me. I mean, you know, we've heard about Nano on phones before, but one of the announcements this time was Nano as part of Google Chrome. That's just like, you know, the thought of putting a model into a browser so that any developer can use those features in the browser, that's amazing to me. And I'm really looking forward to seeing exactly how that plays out.
It's fascinating, honestly. I remember the days that we were like trying TensorFlow Lite and there were not enough of documentation, and now you have TensorFlow Lite with Gemini Nano on your fingertips. So if you are a Android developer, if you are a web developer, it's really simple to just like plug it in and have this world of new multimodality in all of the applications that you are building.
And I think that's great. You know, and I think also along with that, you know, we've seen Gemma was announced again only 4 months ago, something like that, and now Gemma 2 is out. And at Cloud Next, we saw, you know, several other specialty Gemma models announced. And again, brand new at this one is, let me make sure I get this right, Pali Gemma?
Exactly. And now it brings to the developer the power of feeding in both the text and also the images. So now we have two modality for Gemma, which is an open source model, on your fingertips.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what the people who like tuning models do when they can tune a model with images. That's, you know, previously, again, you're a data scientist, I'm not. But previously that was very much in the realm of data scientists being able to play with, and now it's democratizing it. It's making it available towards more developers to work with. That's exciting.
Let me add one more point here. So before, for research scientists, we were more concerned about the fine-tuning and red teaming, and now Google announced a new red teaming AI assistant for us to not only have human do the red teaming for the models, but also have an AI to do this sort of reinforcement red teaming to make sure what are the weak points, and then we can go and figure them out, which is huge because it's cover a bigger variety of choices and things that can go wrong, and we as humans, we are unable to figure those out.
No, there were a lot of other tools that were also announced just talking about safety, and so, you know, those are a lot of other tools helping to build those safety kits there. I've barely even begun to look at those again, and I can't wait to get back into it. Other stuff that's been announced for developers, one of the biggest features that's been requested has been something called parallel function calling. So function calling is a way that you can kind of give a a description, a schema of structured JSON that you expect back. That the idea is that you as a developer then get this schema back and say, oh, I can feed that into this function by name or this other function. But it's always been a challenge to say, well, how do I, in some cases, how do I send that out to 3 different functions at the same time? You know, if I ask for the weather in Miami, San Francisco, and New York, previously that was 3 individual function calls. Now those come back as 3 function calls at the same time. So there's some parallelizing going on there. Video frame extraction is truly an amazing thing. We're going to be talking about this one a lot soon. I almost guarantee it. But previously, if you were doing multimodal video with Gemini 1.5 Pro in AI Studio, you needed to break it up you needed to chunk it up into 1 second intervals. And that was a pain. That's a lot of work that a developer needs to do, especially if you don't have the libraries already in place to do it, you don't know how to do it. Now it's you upload the video to the file API, it will chunk it up for you and handle it for you. It's all super simplified for you. So that's really exciting. But also exciting was that as part of the integration, Firebase announced they're doing more and more support for generative AI in Vertex AI, in AI Studio, across the board. And one of their big announcements was they introduced a library called GenKit. And I assure you, we will be talking more about GenKit in the future. But if you are just getting started, if you are already familiar with Firebase, and if you're using Firebase for your mobile or your web development already, this is another tool to really make things a lot easier when working with generative AI. So take a look at that.
Absolutely. Let me add one more thing. When you mentioned GenTech, I thought about the gems now. So these are the newest fine-tunable model for you, that if you do not want to use a whole Gemini and you wanted to fine-tune it, but you do not have the resources to really fine-tune it, now you have these things called gems, which is customizable Gemini for your own purposes that are easily configurable.
It's going to be really interesting to see how that fits into the Gemini chat app and how, again, democratizing that makes some of these applications for anybody, not just for developers.
Exactly. I'm excited to see, because now
I'm excited for all of this stuff.
Exactly.
This is, there's so much out there.
The limit is the creativity now. Nothing else would limit you.
One of the things that I know I've been pushing a lot, and we've done a show on this before, is this notion of, we've talked about embeddings, and we've talked about semantic embeddings for text. And we've also talked a little bit about semantic embeddings for multimodal, for images. And there's been a big push of that at this I/O, and I was really encouraged to see that. What's your thought on it?
Absolutely. So right now we have this semantic analysis across images, videos, and text. So if you are interested to look back into your images and ask about something, you have Ask Photo, which is semantic analysis of all of the images you have. They also incorporate it into search. So if you search for something on Google, then it brings to you all of these analysis to exactly answer your question. It's not the keyword search anymore. It's semantic search, bringing in exactly what you meant to know.
And I think that whole area is going to be exciting. You know, when not just
Absolutely.
how do you do semantic search? How do you do a hybrid semantic and keyword search? How do you do all of these things together? We're just getting started with that, and there's a lot that's out there.
Exactly.
Now, so that's the understanding image part of it. There's also the creating image part of that, and one of the announcements there was Imogen or Imogen 3 is going to be available. That's got APIs, so that's powerful and interesting. There was some other stuff. What were the other things that caught your eye?
Yes. So we have Imogen for images. We have VO right now, which is video generation modules providing video generation capability, but also which is based on the Lumiere, which is a unit architecture. So yay, unit. But on top of that, they also introduced SynthID, which is fascinating because if we are scientists and developer building all of these generated content, we want to make sure that we are guarding our community from false information. And SynthID enables us with two things. One, it watermarks all of the generated content, and two, it is able to identify whether something is generated or not. So now we are almost guaranteed not to deal with the false information.
I've got to say, it's interesting that two of the things about that were really interesting to me. One was that this is something they're working on with other companies. So, on the big slide where they talked about it, it included OpenAI, it included Microsoft, it included all of the big, included NVIDIA, it included all of the big AI players. So this is not just Google pushing something, this is an industry saying, we need to address this.
We need responsible AI.
We need responsible AI. And we'll get to that in a second. The other thing that I thought was interesting was in at least one presentation afterwards about this I saw, they're talking about this and they're saying, yes, right now SynthID is for images. We're also talking about how to do it for video and for text.
Yes,
and all of us are like, how do you do this for text? How do you do this for text? So that's going to be interesting.
There are methods to that, so I just touch base on that really quickly.
I trust you on this one, but I can't wait to see this.
So there is this idea of figuring out if somebody wrote an essay for using generative models.
Right,
and all of these generative models are looking into certain words, and they use those certain words more frequently. And one of the words for example, is evolve. And then I checked and I looked back into it and I was like, yes, the word is really more frequent when you are generating something.
Interesting.
And the second one is they never make a grammar or a spelling mistake. So if you're a student out there, you want to use them, make a grammar mistake. Nobody would notice.
But yes, this is all about responsible AI.
Absolutely, yes.
What's your...
On top of the responsible AI, which it was about the SynthID, I also want to touch base on the inclusivity of AI. If we want to really have responsible AI, we need to make sure that we are covering all of the corner cases. And for that, we require to have people with different backgrounds. To have people with different backgrounds coming to the development, we need to cover more languages. And now, this new realm of AI, we are covering more than 35 new languages to be able to use Gemini and all of the multimodality models.
No, it's fantastic. One of the things that was interesting about Gemini 1.5 when it was first announced is how good it was at languages that it wasn't trained on. That you could just give it the rules, the grammar structure for a language, and it would do a reasonable job at it. So it's interesting to see that kind of evolution in the inclusivity and the responsibility angle for it.
Absolutely. Did you know to cover 97% of the population of the world, you need to have 7,000 different languages?
Wow, no, I did not.
I learned it at I/O, and I was like, this is so much. This is so many different languages.
So there was a ton of other stuff that was, we literally just tried to summarize 3.5 hours of keynote presentations, never mind the other day and a half of other presentations and walking around and talking to people and talking with the Google developer, the engineers, the DevRel teams, all of these people. This is your first I/O?
This is my second one.
Your second I/O.
I've been running around, honestly, just soaking in all of the information. I have so much note that I have to go back and go back through all of the notes, all of the pictures that I took.
Yeah, I will be spending days going over this. We will be having more conversations about this in the future, about all of the new stuff and more details on how to use it. I think two big things, though, to finish up were kind of the big mic drop moments.
Yes.
The first was there is a Gemini developer competition now underway through the end of August, but don't wait till then because the prizes are huge. These they are not kidding. The grand prize is an electric DeLorean. So it's a DeLorean that has been converted to be an electric vehicle, plus $60,000. So they valued that top prize at $260,000. That's ridiculous for a hackathon. And that's not the only prize. There are prizes in other categories for tens of thousands of dollars. So I hate to say this because I want to enter, So I hate to actually give myself competition, but check out the developer competition if you are even vaguely interested. It is a great way to learn more and get into it, and you could earn a few bucks and a car. But I think truly the mic drop moment of this whole thing, and it wasn't a developer moment.
Yes.
It was when they demonstrated Project Astra. Yeah.
Absolutely.
What was your take?
So that was fascinating when DeepMind introduced Project Astra, which is this multimodality models that enables you to make sense of what is happening around you. And the fascinating part was when the person who was holding this camera asked Project Astra about the surrounding and left, and then asked about something in the memory, something that they had left behind. And Project Astra had this memory, and that had this knowledge of what has happened before. Think about it, not just in terms of the developer, but also in terms of all of the assistive technologies that you can build with it. It can be a vision assistive technology for people to make sense of their surrounding and navigate independently in any scenario. That's fascinating. That's really mind-blowing.
It really, one of the neat and one of the neat things about it is it wasn't told to say, hey, remember where I put my glasses.
Exactly.
It was just wandering around, and then it said, oh, have you seen my glasses? And it said, yes, it's next to the apple. So it's not just memory, it's that it's constantly absorbing this and creating a world context for you, and then can answer stuff in that context. And I think so yes, this is definitely an accessibility thing. This is a audio voice driven conversation tool that helps you get things done in your world. And that's been a passion of mine for 10 years now.
You are wearing the glasses, so obviously.
Well, this is the frustrating thing, is that literally halfway through the presentation, she puts the phone down and puts glasses on, and all of us in the audience are suddenly going, wait, what did she just do? So yes, and I have been pestering people since then. Glasses are coming from Google. There is a team out there that is still working on the glasses, and apparently it's being integrated with Project Astra. So that's all we know right now. This was the least product announcement ever in Google's history. But
absolutely,
it's exciting to see where this is all going. And I think that's really the conclusion here.
Exactly. I'm an AI scientist, and I felt like a kid in a candy shop. It was like everything AI, so I'm like over the moon. I'm just looking forward to see what all of the developer and scientists around the world would build with it. And now we are opening the door to really democratizing AI for people with all of the different backgrounds. If you are not in a STEM, if you don't know how to code, now sky is the limit. You do not need any of that to actually turn what you are thinking about and your ideas to some new products to make life easier for everybody else. Now we have AI for all.
We really do. And like I said, there was so much more that was announced that we just didn't get to, but I can assure you, we will be talking about this and so much more another time on Two Voice Devs.
Two Voice Devs.
Thank you, Roya. Have a great time.
Thank you so much for having me. It was really amazing. I appreciate it.